Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. This is very meaningful. This shows how much we really care about Israel, and it's a real testament to the Aspen community. So thank you. I'll talk a little bit later, so I'm just gonna call up Doug Seserman, who is the CEO of Americans for Ben Gurion University, and he'll start for us. Okay.
All right, great. This is really a capacity crowd. We have a few seats in the front still, but so please join us. It means a lot that you're here. I know that you're here not to listen to me, so I'm not going to speak for very long. Nili, this is a good example of just how much Aspen and the Jewish community of the United States cares about what's happening and what you went through. And we just are so glad that you're here to share your story. For many people, you understand this, that the concept of God, I know we don't have Mendel, so I'll throw in a little rabbinic, but the concept of God, or any way you think about God, emanates really from Israel. But after she created Aspen, he decided at least to summer there. And I guess a bunch of you have figured that out. So just a quick show of hands. How many of you consider Aspen your primary community? Okay, and how many of you are from somewhere else? So the majority from somewhere else, but you figured out that God created this place. That's wonderful. Also, how many of you feel like you're very familiar with Ben Gurion University, meaning on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 or more, you really understand the place? Not very many. And how many of you feel like you've got a lot to learn? The vast majority. Okay, great. So I'm just going to adjust my comments accordingly, because we also saw in the statistics that I think almost 60%, maybe even 70% of the crowd is learning about us for the very first time. So that's just incredible. I want to first start by just thanking Jilly, who does a remarkable job all year long. She's the development director here in Aspen, but she works in the southwestern part of the United States. And she's worked very, very tirelessly over the last several years to build the momentum to have us in front of so many of you. So thank you, Jilly. We also have Cheryl and Joy from our staff. And we have 2 of our national board members, Melinda Goldrich and Jeff Pollack, who are both very involved of their time and their resources. So thank you very much to you two. We can't do this without you. Really quickly, I want to just cover a couple thoughts. So first, if you think about the future of Israel, and this is true on October 6th, before everything happened, and this is just Doug speaking, so you can quote me if you want, but there will be others who disagree. The 2 most important institutions to the future of Israel, and there are many, and all that you support are important too, but the 2 most important institutions, in my opinion, are really the Israel Defense Forces. Because without the Israel Defense Forces, you can't protect the country, and we understand what happened on October 7th when it fails to do its job. What people don't often realize is the next most important institution could arguably be Ben Gurion University of the Negev, because it has this impactful role to drive the future of Israel south. As David Ben Gurion, the founder and first prime minister of Israel, always said, the future of Israel would emerge from the Negev, and that future is dependent on Ben Gurion University. I'm not going to give a big talk on that because we have the university president here. He's going to share some thoughts, and then we'll bring in Nili. But I think we wanted to start with a video. So we'll show the video, I'll make a couple closing comments, and we'll move on with the program. On your way out, you can grab a little brochure. We're bringing the university and the Negev to you here in Aspen. There are also some opportunities coming up. One is we host an annual meeting in New York City in the fall, October 19th to the 21st. Please consider joining us. It will be a great benefit on October 19th, featuring the comedian Alex Edelman. If you know him, he's absolutely terrific. And then the Board of Governors meeting happens every year in Israel. It's a great showcase into the university. Next year, it's May 10th through the 14th, 2026. By the way, if you haven't been to Israel in a while, I've been 4 times since October 7th. It's a really important time to visit Israel. The flights are coming back. You'll go to Israel to give hugs, and you'll find that you receive more than you give. So try to make that a part of your itinerary and life over the next year. Okay, so Danny, you ready? All right, so without further ado, it gives me great pleasure and privilege and honor to introduce a colleague and good friend, the only American-born Israeli president, Professor Daniel Chamovitz from Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Danny.
Thanks. We on? Hello? Yeah, thanks, Doug. It's great, wow, to be back here for a 3rd time. So I'm going to have to pretend I'm a different generation and just take a picture of this. All right, so I'll say Aspen, Chabad, there you go. All right. This is really heartwarming. When we planned this event, and the heart of this event is going to be my conversation soon with Nili, but 4 weeks ago we had a little change, and I just have to add 5 minutes in here. In the wonderful video that Doug showed you, you saw a couple pictures about what happened 4 weeks ago at Ben Gurion University. In the course of 36 hours, 3 missiles hit the university. At 7:20 in the morning on Thursday, it hit our Soroka University Hospital, which is part of Ben Gurion University, destroying a building, 2 floors of which belonged, we rented from the hospital, belonged to the university, held 9 research labs where decades of work were lost. It's almost priceless to think of how you get that research back. We all have backups in the cloud, but we don't have backups for biological samples. And just one example of this is a laboratory of Professor Ehud Ohana, who's also a graduate of Ben Gurion University. He studies Crohn's disease and colon cancer. I'm sure quite a few of you have some connection, unfortunately, to people who suffer from these diseases. He had even discovered a peptide which could be used to control colon cancer, and his entire lab was wiped out, all the instrumentation, all of the microscopes, but even most importantly, hundreds of biological samples of DNA and cells that are storing his research back years, that we now have to work very hard to rebuild his lab and to get the research up and going. And we had that in 8 other labs. Because of this, we also lost 12 of our classrooms for our medical school, because the hospital now needs those for wards. And so we have to build a new teaching building for the medical school for 200 first-year medical students starting in October. Then another missile landed right outside my apartment building, destroying an apartment building where 10 of our faculty members live. The National Cybersecurity Labs were affected. And then at 5 the afternoon, the next day, our gymnasium was taken out. Of all of them, that one I'm the least worried about, because that the government knows how to fix. It's a floor, it's a ceiling, it's an air conditioner. But science, classrooms, that national insurance doesn't know how to fix it. And that's unfortunately one of the reasons I'm here today, to help have you partner with us in bringing back this incredible research that is needed for all of humanity. And so I thank you for showing up for that. But now let's get on to the reason that most of you showed up, I'm sure. It's an honor for me to introduce Nili Margalit, who's a graduate of Ben Gurion University's nursing school. She was a faculty member of our nursing school, an ER nurse, a pediatric ER nurse, and an operating room nurse. Born at Kibbutz Nir Oz. Her parents founded Kibbutz Nir Oz. And she found herself on October 7th in a place that no one wants to find themselves. And she's here for us to hear her story and to understand why even after a year and 6 months 9 months since that her own tragedy is still going on, and what we can do to help bring this to an end. Nili, please come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Nili, I know that this is not part of we talked yesterday, and we talked before, how your life stops at 8 in the morning, more or less, on October 7th. And so your life, you never imagined yourself talking to a crowd or exposing yourself like this. And I know it's not easy, so thank you for being with us here today. So I know you've been through this 100 times, but maybe just to set the stage, if you can help the people understand here what the morning of October 7th was for you personally until you found yourself underground.
I'm from Kibbutz Nir Oz. I was born and raised in Kibbutz Nir Oz. And through 20 years of our life, we used to missiles attack. We know everybody has a safe room in its home. We know that every time we hear the alarm, we go into the safe room, and everything is going to be fine. After a couple of 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour, and then we're going to leave the kibbutz for a week or 10 days, and we're going to come back. This was our routine for 20 years. And then came October 7, and it started at 6:29 with, again, a missile attack, which we believe it's another regular missile attack. It sounded very different from what we used to, but it was another missile attack. And I was talking to my friend Noga, who is sitting here with me, and she told me, come up north. And I said, okay, maybe this time I will do that, because I never do that. But something sounds different. So I told her, okay, maybe I will do that. And then on the group chat, people start saying that terrorists came into the kibbutz, and there is terrorists, and they are shooting, and they are trying to take people out. And I remember that I didn't believe it. I mean, this scenario was unbelievable to me. Even after I was taken, it took me maybe 48, 72 hours to understand that it's happened in Gaza. I was taken out of the terrorists broke into my house around 9 o'clock. I live alone with my dog, which is kind of my baby, so I was babysitting him. I heard them breaking the door, and then they took me. I released the dog. I didn't know what happened to him, and they took me to Gaza. Nir Oz is less than a mile from Gaza border, and we were there in less than 7 minutes. They just put me on a golf cart and just drove straight, and I remember seeing hundreds of women and children and men. When my face was torn Gaza, and they was coming towards Nir Oz, and I didn't understand it. Why are they coming? I didn't understand. I got into Gaza. I found myself after a couple of hours with a group of elderly people from my own community from Nir Oz in a tunnel 40 feet underground. A lot of the people that was there, of course I know them. They raised me. I know them my entire life. They are friends of my parents and my nanny, my nanny, yeah, my kibbutz nanny was there, so I know all of them.
And this is all by 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, in 9 o'clock, I was out in 9 o'clock in the morning, and then after a couple of hours, we found ourselves together with a group of 12 people sitting on mattresses inside the tunnel, and we were told that we were taking hostages. And again, I didn't understand why. I mean, why are they taking us? Why? And at first I thought that this is for a couple of hours, because nobody would leave elderly people in captivity there. So I thought it's going to be four hours, maybe a day, maybe 2 days, and it lasted for 55 days until I was released in the first hostages deal on December 4th.
So Nili, we were all glued to the television at this point. So we knew much more than you did. When you were taken, what did you know about what was going on near Oz?
I didn't. When I was meeting other people, everyone, each and every one of us told their own story, and so we tried to make a puzzle of what happened. What really happened, we didn't know. I know that the kibbutz destroyed at 170 people out of 350 people. A quarter of a community was taken. Only when I came back, 69 were murdered that day. 9 are still held in captivity. My father was murdered that day. They murdered him early.
Did you know that your father had been murdered?
No, I didn't. Only when I came back. I had a feeling, because I'm very close to my father, and I know that he's not the kind of type that he will try to fight terrorists with his own hand if he had to, and to defend my mother and his granddaughter that was in their house. So I always had a feeling, but I didn't know about the magnitude. And I didn't know that it happened in all of the south of Israel. I heard of the Nova Music Festival, what happened there, we didn't know. We didn't know it happened in Be'eri, we didn't know it happened in Kfar Aza. We had no idea about the magnitude. Only when I came back, I know, they told me that my father murdered. I also learned that 5 of my closest friends, really, my own age, 4 of them was in the first responder when we still thought that the army will come and help them. So they went out of the house with their to try to stop the terrorists until the army will come. And one of them is my neighbor, John. Which is not like my brother, because the family grew up a house, and then our family grew up a house next to a house, and then when we grew up, we got neighbors. John and his family, John, his wife, and his 3 children were murdered. I didn't know that. I remember that my last message to John, my last message was, I recorded them, John, they taking me. And I said, you know what? He will know what to do. He will hear this message that they are taking me, and he will know what to do. So the entire time I was sure that he was fine.
Let's take a little break for a second and go back 10, 15 years. You're growing up in your Oz, and you decide to study nursing. Why did you decide to study nursing at Ben Gurion University?
First of all, I think it's the best university, the best. It has a lot of youth life. There is a lot of activities. It's fun to learn in BGU. It's a very good program. It's considered one of the greatest programs for nursing school, and it's also a really fun university to go to, like in student life. So this is why I decided to go to Ben Gurion.
Why nursing?
Nursing was an accident. It was a lot of a couple of thinking, and then I had a friend, John's sister, which was also a nurse, also BGU graduate, and she told me, you have to come to this is who you are, you have to do that. And
So this actually, the reason I'm asking this is because this is who you are. Being a nurse became a critical part of your identity when you're 40 meters underground, under Khan Yunis? In Khan Yunis?
Being a nurse, when you become a nurse, and first of all, I fell in love with this profession. And this is why I became a faculty member. This is why I decided to teach it, because I decided that it's very important. I love this profession so much, so I decided that people should, that student to move it on.
So how did this, being a nurse?
I think
not having a profession, but being a nurse.
When you are a nurse, you are a nurse. It's kind of your professional identity. It's become a part of your own identity, because you're always a nurse. I was a nurse in the kibbutz. I was a nurse for the kids, my friends' kids. Whenever they had a question, no matter what time it was at night, when a kid injured, they call Nili. We need to go to the ER. What should we do? Should we consult a doctor? First, I was their first responder as a pediatric nurse. So it was my identity before, and in captivity, when I realized that I was with my own community and I had the power to help them, and they know that I have the power to help them, it became a necessary mission for me to practice nursing in captivity.
Practice nursing in captivity. Those are words that, it's like sort of ringing in the air. What does that mean, practice nursing in captivity?
It means that you are the only one who has the knowledge of health knowledge, of medicine. And then you have your community with you, and so you need to take care of them. People were wounded at first. I wasn't wounded, but most of the people were wounded. One woman she fell off the bike that she was taken, and her entire legs was an open wound.
How old was she?
She was 78 when she was taken. And so someone needed to take care of the wounds, and there was no one else besides me to take care of the wounds. So I took care of the wounds. And
what?
At first, I gave her antibiotics because I saw the wounds starting to be affected.
Wait a second. You treated her, where did you have antibiotics? Under Khan Yunis, 40 meters underground.
When we okay, so let's go back. Yeah. when we realized that it's an elderly people, and all of them have medication. They take every day the medication for chronic illness, blood pressure, diabetics, asthma, all kinds of medication, all kinds of kidney disease, etc., etc. So we had to, starting triage, first of all. I went and spoke to each and every one and asked them about what kind of medication. And since I'm an ER nurse, I know that there is a priority. And in my head, it's going to be for 2 or 3 days, that's it. So I start to prioritize what is important to take care of, what is not important to take care of. And then I asked for the medication. I made a list of medication and I asked for blood pressure, for the heart disease, for kidney disease.
From the terrorists? From
the terrorists, yeah. This is the only way we had to get medication, to ask from the terrorists. So I had to do it. Because I'm working in Soroka Medical Hospital and there is a lot of Bedouin population, I also speak a little bit Arabic. So I was a little bit of a contact with them. I also had another member of my community who speak fluent Arabic, and we both tried to ask them for blood pressure measure. And
But
we
why
asked,
did they give it to you?
I asked nicely. Yeah, I did. I asked nicely, and I think I asked nicely. I explained to them that if they won't give them to me, those people will die, and they don't want those people will die. I told them about the condition of we were 40 feet underground, which means that oxygen level are only 19 to 18%, which in room air is supposed to be 21%, and it's hard to breathe, and it's hard wounds. It's making hard to heal, and so I asked for the medication, and they understand that they have. I told them that I was a nurse, and they know that they could use me, and they use my knowledge to help. I mean, we had a shared interest. My interest was to take care of my community, and their interest was to help me to take care of my community, to keep them alive.
There's a silence in the room right now, because I think everyone is trying to imagine this situation where you are being the most rational person possible.
I kept telling myself I can't keep my mouth of what happened in Oz, of how magnitude, of what happened to my family. You get into survival mode. Once you are taken away in a pajama, barefoot, you are immediately in a survival mode. Now, people, I think, try to imagine and maybe think, how can you feel it in a survival mode? But when you're in survival mode, it's a fight or flight. And when you decide to fight, you fight with whatever means you have. And it's really an instinct, a human instinct to do that.
We talked yesterday, and you talked about sometimes when they would yell at you, the captors, the people, the thought of being underground and having these people who control your life yelling at you. How did that affect you?
I mean, it's scary for 24/7. There isn't a second that it's not scary. There isn't a second when you don't fear for your life. But at the same time, you maybe I
Did you ever yell back?
Yeah, I yelled back. Because they needed to understand. What I yelled back was when it was important to me to explain them how emergent the medicine are, and how important it's to take care of the wounds and to take care of them again, because they don't want them to die. It's not their interest of them.
So I gotta ask one other difficult. All these questions are difficult. Did they ever ask you to take care of them?
Yes, they did. They did one time. One of them, not in my own, because I was a nurse. I was walking around inside the tunnel. You have to understand that Gaza has it's a city. It's a city above ground, and there is a Gaza underground Gaza. It's a city. It's a city of tunnels. There is mazes, and it's amazing. So a couple of times they took me when people from other places, again from the New Orleans community, didn't feel very good. They asked me to put an IV infusion to someone, and then one of the capture in a different tunnel was sick. He was vomiting, and he didn't feel so. Again, they asked me to give him a fluid. To put an IV and give him fluid, and they wanted to give him antibiotics, so I don't give him the antibiotics. I want to give him flagyl. I said, no, it's not good. They listened to me.
So they respected you, actually.
I think they did. I believe they did, but I don't know if it's true.
And your experience at Soroka helped with this, you think?
I think so. I think that learning, again, I'm a nurse. It's my professional identity. I take care of everyone, regardless of their religion, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their whatever. It's part of the ethical code of taking care of sick people. And so I stick to that.
You used the word community a lot. What did that mean for you for those 55 days, community?
It's give you a lot of strength. You're not alone when you're in the community. You are not alone. You have a reason to fight. You have a reason to live. You have a reason to act. You have a reason to. We have commonalities to talk about, just to spend time, because share funny stories. I was learning so many kibbutz's gossip in those 55 days that I had no idea. And some of them were my parents of my friends. Again, I grew up in the kibbutz. We grew up in a children's place. We didn't sleep in our parents' house in Oz. We sleep in a children's house. And those my group age are practically my brothers and sisters. And one of the hostages was my friend's father. So I'm gonna do whatever I can. It's like my own father.
Can you repeat the story you told earlier about cell phone numbers? Cell phone.
I told Danny before that we had no idea of what happened outside, that we thought that when they're gonna release us, then we're gonna go to maybe the Israeli border, and gonna be a phone, and they will tell us, the Israelis will tell us to...
In a day or two.
To call, not in a day or two. Even after 55, even when I released, I was sure that I was going to the Israeli border, pick up the phone, call my brother, and he will come back to pick me up, and we'll go back to New Orleans. So we started memorizing phone numbers and contacts, because this is what we believe that is going to happen. You're going to call your contact, the one that you remember his number, and the kibbutz you remember the numbers, because it's the same number, only the three last digits is different. So you remember a lot of numbers. So each of us practices on contact. So he will call his contact to go take him home back to New Orleans. This is how much we did not know about what happened in October 7.
So now, what is community for Nir Oz after? So you mentioned that time stood still. The date is still October 7th, and there's no time. But what is community now for someone from Nir Oz who has been released from captivity, but there are still so many people?
Community give you space to heal, give you the help you need to heal. I always say that, each and every hostages, even those of return, have a different story. And some of, especially from the Nova Music Festival, they go back to their houses, their parents, and they are alone. And we are not alone. We are 117 people were taken from that day. A lot of people are still were missed. And when we came back, the community hugs us and give us the time to heal. And we are still live in the community, because community...
But not at Nir Oz.
Not at Nir Oz, in a different housing in Kiryat Gat. It's a city, not as nice as Aspen. Not very great. It's a city, and we are not used to city life, because we're coming from a very small agricultural, very peaceful community. And we try to keep it in a city in a very different way. Some will go back to Nir Oz to rebuild Nir Oz. This is what they know for their entire life, the elderly people. Some, especially the one with small children, cannot go back to Nir Oz. And so my friends, and so we
cannot go
because of the lack of security. The lack of security, even nowadays, there is no security in Nir Oz. We don't know when the next missile will come to us. So the main reason is the security situation. But we decided that we go as a community to a different kibbutz because we are a very, very tight community.
So what has your life been like for the past I've lost track of the days.
Yeah. At the beginning, the first year was very. I tried to bring the story and to speak to anyone who can help us to bring back to bring them back home. So I work a lot of that. I did a lot of interviews. I did a lot of tour for people, you know, from the government, from you know, outside of New Orleans. And this is why I'm here now, you know, because I think this story should be told, and it is not over. It is not sorry. It is not over yet. We are still live in October 7th for the. We are still waiting for them to come back, and only then we can be able to start healing as a community. And then in the last 9 months, I was trying to take a moment a little bit back, trying to take care of me, my body, which was do a lot of holistic therapy. I started to volunteer in gardening, working in the garden because I needed to feel the grass again, because there is no grass in the city. I need the grass, I need the land, I need the plants. So it's gave me a little peace of mind. And I really, really want this to be over so I can start thinking about going back to work. I want to go back to work. I want to go back to teach. But when living on so many uncertainties in life, which you start your day planning X and everything in the day is Y, so you cannot, you know, have a routine, have something that have a commitment. It's really hard for me to commit to anything. Even for this trip, we always said, okay, I'm gonna do this, but if X, and if something happened, then I'm not gonna show.
If something happened. What you're talking about is, I was actually hoping you would not be with us here today.
Me too.
Because we would hope that your father's body would be returned, and that your friends would have been returned, and that you would be with your community to close the circle.
Yeah, and even that, it's emotional roller coaster, because you expected so much for something to happen, and you waited and you waited and you waited, and then it's not happened, and it's over again and again and again. It's happened to us so many times in the last year and 9 months.
So here we are in Aspen.
Yeah.
Heaven on earth. What do you expect from the people here that can help? Why are we here?
I'm telling my story because I think that nobody can argue with me. You know, this is my story. This is what happened. This is how it happened. This is what they done to me. Nobody can say they were nice. Nobody can say they were, that you weren't that, you know, the basic human rights that everyone should have was taken away from me for 55 days. This is what happened. And so it's really important to me to people to hear that and to help us to do whatever they can, you know, but to do whatever they can to tell the story, to tell my story, and the fact that we are still need a help to bring them back. There are still 50 people, and my father is one of them, 9 others from New Orleans.
2 more from Ben Gurion University.
2 more from Ben Gurion University.
Your father plus 2 more.
So we are waiting them for come back, both life, both dead, and I think that every day, I think that people don't understand, the most important thing that people don't understand is that every minute, every second that they are here, the chances of them coming back to us, the life and the dead are going down exponentially, seriously, because every day they could die. Every day, the only person who know where my father is buried in Gaza will be dead. So he won't tell, and maybe a bomb will destroy the place that he is buried. And there is nobody. It won't be able to bring his body back to. My father loved me. He built this kibbutz. It's in his blood. My mother, I tell you a secret. My mother wants to leave a couple of times, and he didn't let her. He loved this place so much. He loved the Negev is an open space of a wild, and it's free. Like there is a sense of freedom in the Negev because it's open fields and very agricultural community. So my father needs to be buried in Kibbutz Nir Oz. His body needs, and I think that if I wouldn't talk about him so much if I would think that for him, he's not alive. I know that it is so important for him. That this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I have to ask, sorry, I want to close up. Do you fear that the hostages will be forgotten?
Every day. Yeah, I mostly fear that they will less prioritize, that the urgency of bringing them back is not prioritized, that there is something else is more important to do in Israel to defend. I don't know, but no, this is the first and the most important thing for Israel, for the entire country. The entire country. It's the most important thing to bring them back, because we won't be able to be the same.
I would like to actually build on what you said. It's not the most important thing for Israel. It's the most important thing for the Jewish people. Pidyon Shvuim, the redeeming of the hostage, is the most important mitzvah in Jewish life, and we're here in the Chabad of Aspen. And we need to remember that the hostage crisis has affected each and every one of us with something called a moral damage. When we live in a society, when we see things and get used to it, it leaves a scar in each and every one of us that won't be healed until all of these hostages are brought back and this disaster of October 7th receives closure so that you can move on with your life, you can go back to teaching at BGU, and that each and every person here does have something that they can do. It could be small, it could be bigger, it could be wearing a symbol, it could be talking to someone, it could be taking political action with the American government, but everyone knows what it is that they can be doing. But passivity is not an option. And I guess that's why you haven't gone back to work yet, because passivity is not an option.
It's not an option. And I must say that in Kiryat Gat, we have such a collaboration with religious people because of Pidyon Shvuim. They come back and they're supporting us with no question of whether our political opinions are, because Pidyon Shvuim is the most important thing in Jewish life.
Nili, I want to thank you so much. I hope that we don't have to have you back here telling this story. We can have you back here telling about the incredible nursing school at Ben Gurion University, which is looking for someone to name it, by the way. But it really is an incredible place. Your friend Noga, who is accompanying you, who was a student at Ben Gurion University Nursing School also, you epitomize the values of Ben Gurion University. It's incredible how those values colored your life underground and have colored your life since you've come back. And I want to thank you so much for opening up to us. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry that we're not having a question and answer, please understand. But we really appreciate, we know how difficult it is to share all that. But she knows how important it is for the community to know, to get behind getting the hostages back and supporting Israel. So now it's my turn. I'm sorry I'm not as remarkable. But I just want to tell you something, and it's just 2 minutes. When I picked up Nili from Aspen Airport, I decided to give her a little tour around our beautiful little town of Aspen. And you remember what you said? You said, Aspen is like a kibbutz, a fancy kibbutz. And she's right. Our community is like a kibbutz. We have a beautiful Jewish community. The center of our Jewish community, kibbutz, is right here. So thank you for coming. And whether you're here full-time or part-time or just visiting, you're part of our kibbutz and you're part of our community. For those of you who don't know, a kibbutz is a community. It literally means gathering in Hebrew, where people voluntarily live and work together for a common goal. And it's very idealistic. It's a beautiful thing. So we, in our Aspen kibbutz, can really make a difference when we come together. And we know that. We've seen it over and over again. So you just heard Nili's story. You heard from Danny. You heard about BGU and what we're doing, the impact that we're making, and also about the challenges that we still face. So we're at a turning point right now, and what we do next will determine what's possible in the months ahead. So I'm asking you to join us. You have pledge cards on your seat, and I'm asking you to make a gift today to our emergency campaign to support BGU and the future of Israel, whether it's $18, $1,800, $18,000, $18 million. Please make a gift. It's not the amount, but it is the gift to show that you care. And it's really important. I would love to see 100% participation and how meaningful that would be from our kibbutz to your kibbutz. So please fill them out. Let's sorry? Melinda's gonna come up. Because she's better than I am. Anyway, so I just want to thank you, but you have pens, you have pledge cards. I'm here. Please get involved, get engaged, talk to us. Please give me a pledge card with your gift, even if it's $1. I want to see 100% participation. It's really important for us today. Thank you to our kibbutz. And I'm going to hand it to Melinda for just a minute.
So I have lived in this fancy kibbutz for the last 35 years, and it has gotten nothing but fancier, but it has gotten to be more of a kibbutz as the Jewish community has grown and become stronger, and the 25 years that Chabad has been here, and the 11 years that the JCC building has been here, have really proven that, and that's how we have the ability to have the programming that we do, and many of you who live here have seen me up here before, and I have participated in many of the programs. I got to know Ben Gurion University and Americans from Ben Gurion University about 6 or 7 years ago. I have visited the campus 3 or 4 times, the main campus as well as the satellite campuses. Only once since October 7th, about a year ago. And before October 7th, my interest in Ben Gurion University was instigated by Doug Seserman and Danny, and then Jilly, to have an understanding about the future of Israel and how important Ben Gurion University is to the future of Israel. And I made a couple of somewhat significant pledges for capital improvements on the campus. Some of those are being realized today, some of them are delayed because of the war, but they are gonna happen, I've been told, and I believe that they are. And since October 7th, though, it's a completely different reality of what is important and why Ben Gurion University is so important. And I learned that when I went, and I've learned that since, and I learned that from hearing people like Nili and other hostages and other people who survived the experience of October 7th from all different situations. And now I have an understanding of what the people have lived through and what people are still living through. And for those of you who have spent time in Israel before or since October 7th, there is a big difference in what people are experiencing every day. And it's very hard to imagine what people have gone through and how the country will flourish, which it will, which we believe it will. This morning when I met with Doug and Julie and Danny, we talked about how we want this community to be 100% invested after listening to this presentation today at any level. We'd like to be able to say that the Aspen community and the people who were here today are 100% willing to participate in the emergency campaign of the Gurion University to repair the buildings, to repair the psyches, and to repair the lives of the people who are affected, like Nili, her family, and so many other people in similar situations. So I made a commitment to start the campaign for the emergency campaign from Aspen at $50,000, but after hearing Nili speak, I would like to extend that to include an additional $100,000 of matching money for people who fill out their pledge cards today, up to $100,000 more than the $50,000 I pledged this morning, to get you to please be inspired by what you heard today, because it's so important, and there's really nobody else in the world but communities like ours, fancy and less fancy kibbutzes, who can make a difference. I mean, I love that terminology because it's true, and I think it's really important, and I think many of you have the capacity at all different levels to make a difference and help the university continue to do the great work they do and to flourish in this situation, which is not over, as we've heard and as we all know. So thank you very much. And I think people are staying around to answer questions, not with a microphone, but privately. If you have questions for any of us, I recently became a board member of Americans for Gurion University, and I plan to go back to Israel soon when the flights they don't cancel the flights all the time. Going from a place like Aspen, where they cancel all the flights, to a place like Israel, where they cancel all the flights, is like the worst combination possible. But thank you so much, and I hope you will fill out your pledge cards and make it easier for me to do the match. Thank you.